is Mitch from Hard Intentions YouTube channel. We also have hardintentions.com where we have shirts and other stuff. Check us out. So this past weekend, I went to a motorcycle event in California. A friend of mine asked me to go with him. Took me along for the ride. And it was a good time. It was actually a celebration of life for somebody who spent 65 years in a motorcycle club and passed away last June. It was held at a speedway in Stockton, California. I really tripped out because there were guys from all over the world. Argentina, Canada, Europe, Germany, everywhere. And all over the country. And there were also all kinds of motorcycle clubs there, and guys from every race you could imagine, and a bunch of people that are just motorcycle riders, bikers, if you will. There was live music by the Fried Brothers and band. There's food, tons of motorcycles, good conversation. It was hot. It was cool. I remember having a conversation with one guy there, and we noticed law enforcement. There was a lot of law enforcement. I mean, helicopters, highway patrol everywhere on the freeways, blocking entrances, and a lot of plainclothes people with big giant camera lenses taking pictures of everybody, which I'm assuming were federal guys. It was a trip. So I haven't noticed the law enforcement. I was having a discussion with a guy, and I said, most guys who ride motorcycles, whether they're in a bike club or not, they're just regular guys, and law enforcement knows that. Guys in motorcycle clubs get the brunt of law enforcement's attention, and so one thing I know about it, and there's this stigma that goes along with this, that's put out by the media, which comes from law enforcement. It makes a good story. These guys are, I heard everything from, a gang to a syndicate to akin to a, two-wheeled mafia. They're involved with murders and drug deals and blah, 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 blah. That's kind of a false narrative, because most guys I know that ride bikes, whether they're just independent outlaw biker type guys, or if they're in bike clubs, 1%er clubs. By the way, there were a lot of 1%er clubs there, and that's and then they had guys that were riding clubs, had Christian clubs. There's all kinds of guys riding motorcycles, and they have an appearance that might frighten some people, or make them leery to approach them. But law enforcement puts out a narrative that we are all no good, can't be trusted, will eat your children. And it's simply not true. I was talking to a guy, he's been in the same job for 25 years. He's been in a motorcycle club for about half of that, a little over half of that. He's worked his way up the ladder in this company. Doesn't make a ton of money, but he told me, I like having a job because then I know how much money I get at the end of every paycheck to finance my bills and my lifestyle riding motorcycles, and he blew his motor up after 100-something thousand miles on a pretty old motorcycle by, about 20-year-old motorcycle. So it was like, he got with a wife and kids and said, hey, I need a new motor. And they're all, yeah, you need a motor. And so here's my thing. If these guys were, as law enforcement says, big two-wheel mafia, why is this guy holding down a job for 25 years in the same place? Why has he got to get with his wife and his kids that are grown about how he can save up enough money to get a new motor for his motorcycle? Why don't you just go buy a new motorcycle? big two-wheel mafia, right? Why do guys share apartments? Why do they ride, motorcycles that are old and beat up and need a lot of maintenance? If they were a big two-wheel mafia, drug dealing, murder for hire, like fucking law enforcement says, they just be able to go out and buy a new motorcycle, right? It's bullshit. And then, you know, I saw a clip this today. Somebody forwarded me about this event, and local law enforcement said they spent millions of dollars on this event to keep the community safe. That's what they said, to keep the community safe. And they said because the owner of the speedway wouldn't listen to them, they had to spend millions of dollars to keep the community safe. Well, the owner of the speedway said this event was a lot nicer and a lot easier to have. I forgot his exact words, to facilitate, than a stock car race, which they have at the speedway. It's a stock car track. He said it was a wonderful event. There was no problems. People were just there to do the thing and enjoy the day, enjoy the motorcycles. Pay tribute to somebody that spent 65 years in a motorcycle club. So here's the deal. It led me to say, which led me to another conversation, but why did they have to spend millions of dollars? What are they protecting the community from? They probably thought these couple thousand motorcycle guys are going to go out in the community and eat everybody's kids. I mean, come on, man. Guys I know that are in bike clubs, they're overly courteous to people in the community because they don't want them to believe the narrative law enforcement and the media puts out there. I mean, Tucker Carlson was at this event. He's about as conservative as you can get on Fox News, right? They spent millions of dollars on this event. I was talking to this guy, and he says, if they were honest, their job would be a lot easier. And so, well, what does that mean? It means, they throw the narrative out that this is a big criminal organization with all motorcycle clubs from all over the country. It's simply not true. Like I said, they got guys that own businesses, construction businesses, plumbing businesses. I know guys that have tattoo shops, guys that are artists, guys that are woodworkers, carpenters, and guys that are out there busting their ass to make a paycheck. So if they were honest about what they were doing, they know these guys are regular guys with regular lives for the most part. If they just went after the bad seeds, they could probably get them. But instead, they try to encompass the whole organization and try to round them all up and put them all in prison for as long as they can and get them off the street. Their goal is to eradicate motorcycle clubs. And then what's the next step? Then they get rid of the independent outlaw biker. And, I say outlaw biker because even though we don't commit crimes, we live outside of the norms of society. We don't accept multi-gender, use any bathroom. We know we stand to pee, what bathroom to use, and what sex we are. Guys are about respect of other people, and they also want to be respected. They got big hearts. They love their communities, their families, their brothers. Actually, motorcycle riders, outlaw bikers, if you will, are probably the epitome of what an American man ought to be and used to be. We grew up watching John Wayne and all that good stuff. We love our country, we love our communities. So to paint everybody as with one big wide brush is a lie, and they know it because they investigate people. They see what they do. They know. Most of these guys are just regular dudes living regular lives. but they also know they're not going to put up with a bunch of shit. They got each other's backs, and they don't really give a fuck about law enforcement and all the stupid rules that our government is trying to shove down our throats lately. It's about control. You know, I talked in some of my videos about control in prison yards. You know, what are the politics all about? They're all about control. It's the same thing out here. They use their false information, fabricated information to influence society so they can disrupt and disband and do away with a certain group of people that they don't like. They're not going to be successful because they're I don't know what the word would be, but the bottom line is they're wrong. Not everyone in these groups is what they say they are, but they have to justify their existence. Like this sheriff said, it costs millions of dollars to police this event. What he really means is it costs millions of dollars for them to investigate, photograph, in some cases maybe harass the people going to this event, whether they were in bike clubs or not. There were probably more people there who were not in bike clubs than were. A lot of people just went to this event to pay tribute and have a good time. So if they went after the guys who were actually committing crimes, their job would be a lot easier. But they don't really care about that. What they care about is money, funding. They take photographs. They get guys that are in trouble to flip them, become informants, feed them false narratives. They get them to fabricate stories. They take that information up the chain. They get funding for their organization, which comes out of your pocket as a taxpayer. It just perpetuates a system that really, you know, serves no purpose other than to harass people and give people a hard time. Prime example is this is look at what happened in Waco, Texas, like 5.5 years ago. They arrested quite a few people, damn near 100 people, I think, 70 something people for a shootout. 8 or 9 people died. All of them had bullets in them from law enforcement. They instigated that incident. All those people were released without charges. Some of them sat in jail for over a year, lost their jobs, lost their homes, disrupted their families, made life hard for them. That's their intent, to make life hard for people that they don't like. You don't fit the norm of society. That's what they do. They're out to influence the citizens through the media and to also fund their organization. Why is there a helicopter flying above an event for hours at a time? That costs a lot of money. It's pretty sad. So I guess my point here is I had a great time. People didn't let law enforcement disrupt their event. A lot of people had a good time, but you know, it's the same in prison. It's the same on the streets. Don't let people feed you a false narrative and get you to believe something that's not true. You know, they have a goal. The false narrative is to get you to believe something about a certain group of people so they can control your thoughts on that, alienate them, right? And then they got them. You know, the more you can alienate somebody, the easier it is to do harm to them. You know, they objectify them, turn them into an object, not human beings living normal lives. You know, they're not there to protect and serve you. They're there to harass people that don't fit their narrative on how you should live. So it's the same thing, like I say, on a prison yard. It's the same thing in your neighborhood. It's the same thing at your work. Someone gives you some information about somebody or a certain group of people that's negative, tries to get you to think negative about that person or that group, don't bite. Check it out. Investigate it before you make your opinions. You might end up liking the person they're smutting or the group. Uh, they say bikers do stuff to build a positive image with society. You know, like going to a lemonade stand and buying couple $100 worth of lemonade from some kid selling lemonade at a lemonade stand, or doing charitable events for kids that got cancer, or toys for Christmas for kids. And they say they do that stuff to bolster their image with society, but really they do that stuff because that's what they do. And they do it in real life, and they do it every day of their lives, always. They have each other's backs. They got love for their communities, their families, their brothers and sisters, guys they ride with. It's not a bullshit trip. It's a real deal. And don't believe the hype. I couldn't believe they said they spent millions of dollars to protect the community. I just couldn't believe it. What are they protecting the community from? You know? Blows my mind. So don't believe the hype, whether it's law enforcement talking about somebody through the media, or if it's some local guy trying to gain a little authority, a little foothold on power at your job, on a prison yard, on the street you hang out at the bar you drink at the restaurant you eat at. Think twice about what people tell you, because 9 times out of 10 there might be a hidden motive behind the information they're pumping out of their mouth. You got 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Someone told me the other day that's so you can use your eyes and ears twice as much as you use your mouth. Yeah. Look and listen, folks. Feed your brain. Positive information. Fuck the bullshit narrative. It's not true. And make your own decisions based on facts, not fiction. Especially when it comes to law enforcement smutting people. Get out there. Value your freedom. Do it hard. Thank you, folks.